Good morning and namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a few moments to become present. And if you find yourself a nice seated position where you can elongate your spine, the back of your neck, open up your chest, open up your diaphragm, open up your heart. You gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. Soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or a phrase to have with you on your mat, or perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention, I'd like to talk about the seventh limb of yoga, which is Dhyana, and it's also known as meditation. Dhyana is literally not what you think. Don't think. It's more of an experience than a technique, a choiceless awareness. So how do we get there? Well, we talked about the fifth limb of yoga, pratyahara, which had us withdrawing our senses. We start to shut down the senses, leaving one active sense for dharana, which is the sixth limb of yoga, and that's also known as concentration. So with pratyahara, we start to withdraw our senses. And for example, shutting down our hearing, our smelling, our tasting, and our feeling, leaving seeing, just the sight, to gaze at a candle, trataka, not trakata, trataka. This quiets the mind and moves us toward dhyana. So you have the pratyahara, that you're shutting down the senses, moving to dharana, where you're focusing on one sense, and that's going to move us toward dhyana. Dhyana is a effortless oneness with the object, where there is no separation and your awareness shifts to a different plane. Often I quote Eric Tolle's idea of his term for meditation is, oh dear, I forgot, has awareness in it. So basically he's saying you're not thinking in the past, you're not thinking in the future, you're focused on just the present. So you're in a plane that is not horizontal, you shift your plane to the vertical, to the present. So with this effortless oneness, you're focusing on that object and you're trying to come to that sense of awareness. So today we're going to do an asana practice where we use our sense of feeling, and that's what we usually do when we're doing our asana, our poses. And we're going to be focusing on our breath. So our poses come into a state of oneness with our body. And then we're going to use our sense of hearing in a guided meditation. And we've done before the yoga nidra, which is like a guided meditation form of yoga. And we'll come to a state of oneness. Well, in the guided meditation, we're going to come to a state of oneness with the message. So the message today we're going to focus on, because it is November, getting close to Thanksgiving. So we're going to focus on giving thanks. So let's start our asana practice, and I'll meet you on the mat. And for today, we're going to start off in mountain pose, but a reclined mountain pose. So just roll down on your mat. You can roll down one vertebrae at a time, or express method, whichever way works for you. Extend your feet to the bottom of the mat. Get all nice and snuggled in. So for mountain, we're not in a relaxed form like Shavasana. We're in our body's alert. Our toes are flexed, pointing up to the sky, just as if we were standing on our feet. Legs are nice and straight and strong, with a soft bend in our knees. Navel's tucked to our spine to bring our lower back down toward the mat. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. You feel your shoulder blades nice and snug into the mat. The crown of our head is pointing up toward the top of the mat. So again, we're in an alert state when we're on the mat here. So we're going to start off by lifting our right foot up off the mat and get comfortable. And you can focus on your lower back, see how that feels. And then spread out your toes, just kind of stretch out your toes. And then bring that foot back down to the mat. So then we're gonna inhale, exhale. And then lift your right foot again. This time we're gonna point, inhale, and then flex your foot, exhale. Point, inhale. Flex, exhale. Point, inhale. Flex, exhale, and then lower your foot back down to the mat. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Lift our right foot again, and we're going to make circles. So we're just kind of rotate our ankle around, making circles with our toes, and then reverse that circle. And then bring that foot back down to the mat. Deep inhale and exhale. Then we slide the right foot, the sole of the right foot, up the inner part of your left leg till it forms the letter or the number 4. So the sole of your right foot's against your left knee. Your right knee is pointing to the right side of the mat. Like tree pose. And then you lift your right ankle, placing it on top of your left leg, right above the left knee. And slide your left foot up so that it's on the mat, coming into reclined pigeon pose. And you can stay here. I encourage you to keep your foot flexed, your right foot flexed, and maybe guide your right knee to the right side of the mat. You could stay here, or if you like, you could lift your left leg up, wrapping your hands around the back of your left thigh, guiding your left leg and right leg toward you. And if you want an additional stretch, you can wrap your hands around the front of your left shin, keeping your feet flexed. It's a great hip opener. And then we're going to release the left leg and bring both knees to your chest and give them a nice gentle hug. Maybe rock back and forth to massage your lower back. And then lower both legs back down to the mat. And we'll do that on the other side. So again, you're in mountain position. Your feet are flexed, toes pointing to the sky. Shoulders are nice and rolled back. And shoulder blades are snug into the mat. Navel's tucked to the spine. You lift your left foot up and spread the toes wide open on your left foot. And then bring that foot back down. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Then lift your left foot again. You're going to point, inhale, flex your toes, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, and then guide your foot back down to the mat. Deep inhale and deep exhale. Lift your left foot again and make circles with your toes, rotating your ankle. And then reverse the direction. And then float your foot back down to the mat. Deep inhale and deep exhale. Slide the sole of your left foot up the inner part of your right leg till it reaches your knee, and drop your left knee down to the mat, down to the floor. So you're in a figure four. And then put your left ankle on top of your right thigh, right above the knee, and slide your right foot up so that the sole of your right foot's on the mat. Recline pigeon, you can stay here. Flex your left foot so the toes are pointing to the sky. Maybe guide your left knee toward the left side of the mat. And if you'd like to have a little bit more stretch, you can lift your right leg up, wrapping your hands around the back of your right thigh, guiding your legs toward your chest. And maybe perhaps wrap your hands around your right shin, still guiding your legs toward your chest for an extra stretch. And then bring both knees to your chest. Give them a nice gentle hug. And rock back and forth, giving your lower back a nice massage. And place both feet down on the mat, knees pointing up to the sky. Knees are about hip width apart. We're going to place our hands alongside of our hips with the palms facing down to support you. And we're going to do some supine cat-cows. So we're going to do some cat-cows where our hips do not come up off the mat. And then we're going to do 3 cats and 3 cows. And then on the third cat, we're going to lift our hips up into bridge pose. So let's start with cat. We're going to round our back, tilting our pelvis up, creating like a bowl in your lower abdomen area. And then exhale, we're going to tilt the pelvis down, arching our back slightly. That's 1. Come back to cat, tilting our pelvis up, rounding our back. And then going into cow, tilting our pelvis down, arching our back. And then tilt our pelvis up into cat, rounding the back. And then push down into your feet, lifting your hips up toward the sky, using your arms and your hands to support you. Knees should be parallel, not splayed out. Gaze is up to the sky. Then slowly come back down, one vertebrae at a time. Till you land. We'll do that again. So start off with cat. You're tilting your pelvis up, rounding your back. Cow, tilt your pelvis down, arching your back. Cat, rounding your back, pelvis up. Cow, arching your back, pelvis down. Cat, tilting your pelvis up, rounding your back, and then push down in your feet, lifting your hips up to the sky, up into bridge pose, and keeping your knees parallel to one another. And then slowly lowering back down, one vertebrae at a time. And we'll do that one last time. So cat, pelvis is tipped up. Cow, pelvis is tipped down. Cat, tipped up. Cow, tipped down. Cat, tipped up. And then push into your feet, lifting your hips up to the sky. And then slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. Okay, staying with our legs in this position, we're going to bring our arms up to shoulder height. We're going to take our left hand and reach it over. It's going to make a semicircle, 180 degrees, reaching it over across you, and then having your left hand land on your right arm. It might land in your shoulder, it might land on your elbow, but wherever it lands, then slide it down as far as you can go toward your right palm. And you can be rolling over on your shoulder as you do this. We'll just kind of stretch out the upper part of our shoulders and our back. And then slide it back, coming to lay back on your back, bringing your left hand out at shoulder height on the other side. And then we're going to do that, lifting our right arm. Have it make a semicircle over your chest, having it land on your left arm, and depending on where it lands, then slide it down toward your left palm, and you can roll over on your shoulder, and then roll back, so you're lying back on the mat. Open back up to a T again. We'll do that again, each side. So lifting your left arm, bringing it over, having it land on your right arm, sliding it down toward your right hand, and then slide it back, come rolling back onto the mat, and then lifting your right hand up, having it come over, landing on your left arm, sliding that right hand down to your left fingertips, and then roll back to a T shape. And bring the edges of your feet out to the edge of the mat. So the outside of your feet are lined up with the edges of your mat. We're going to do some windshield wipers. So just exhale, lowering your knees to the right side. And then inhale, lifting them up toward the sky. Exhale, lowering them over to the left side. Inhale, up to the sky. Lower them to the right. Exhale. Inhale, lifting up. Lowering to the left. Exhale. Inhale, lifting them up. We'll do one more over to the right. Lift up, and one more over to the left. And lift up. And we just send our feet to the bottom of the mat, come back into mountain pose. And then bring your arms, sweep your arms up and over so that your hands land in back of you, so you're stretched fully out. And then kind of reach toward the top of the mat while you're pushing your heels down toward the bottom of the mat for a real big stretch. And then we're going to relax. Bring our right heel and place it outside of the mat. Bring our left heel and cross it over the right so that our hips stay centered on the mat, but our legs are shifted over to the right. Now we're going to take our left hand, wrap it around our right wrist, and then guide our right wrist to the right side of the mat. So we're going to end up in banana pose. So you should have a kind of a crescent curve to your body. And then come back to center, back to mountain with your arms still overhead. And stretch again, stretch your fingertips up and pushing your heels down. And then relax. Slide your left heel to the outside of the left side of the mat. And then send your right heel and cross over your left foot, keeping your hips in the center. And then we're going to take our right hand, wrap it around the left wrist, and guide your left hand outside the mat to the left. So again, you're in banana pose on the other side. And then come back to mountain. So here you can stay on your back. We're going to go into a short pranayama and then into the meditation. So you can keep lying on your back and stay nice and warm. If you have a towel, you can roll it up like into a sausage and put it underneath your knees so that your knees are relaxed, but as we do in mountain pose, has a nice bend in it, but it also supports your lower back, lowering down to the mat. So you can have this and perhaps put a blanket over you to stay warm. Or if you prefer, you can do the pranayama and the meditation sitting. A lot of people like to sit that. And again, use your towel to create a little bit of a lift so you can lower your knees to groin level and feel comfortable either way, whichever you feel comfortable. So for the pranayama, we just place our left hand on our heart and our right hand on our abdomen. You feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, your rib cage, and your abdomen with each slow breath. And feel the nourishing energy of the breath flowing through you. Visualize your breath flowing from your abdomen to your rib cage, up to your chest. You feel it with your hands. And then visualize that breath flowing away from the chest, away from the ribs, away from the abdomen. Take 5 deep inhales and exhales. And just Feel your breath flowing through you. And for our guided meditation this morning, we're going to focus on the message of thanks. And this is a daily sunrise prayer, an ancient message of peace and appreciation of Mother Earth and her inhabitants. It's the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving Address. So there's many sections to it. I'm going to start off by saying the image, the first one being the people, and focus on the object of the message, which is the people. And close your eyes or have them gently open while you're doing this, whatever's comfortable for you. So I'll start. The people. Today we have gathered and we see that the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now we bring our minds together as one, as we give thanks and greetings to each other as people. Now our minds are one. Mother Earth. We are thankful to our mother, the earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us as she has from the beginning of time. To our mother, we send greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. The waters. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms, waterfalls and rain, mists and streams, rivers and ocean. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the spirit of water. Now our minds are one. The fish. We turn our minds to all the fish life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that we can still find pure water. So we turn now to the fish and send our greeting and thanks. Now our minds are one. The plants. Now we turn toward the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come. Now our minds are one. The food plants. With one mind, we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped the people survive. Many other living things draw strength from them too. We gather all the plant foods together as one and send them a greeting of thanks. Now our minds are one. the medicine herbs. Now we turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy they are still among us, those special few who remember. We are happy there are still among us those special few who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of the medicines. Now our minds are one. The animals. We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forests. We are glad they are still here, and we hope it will always be so. Now our minds are one. The trees. We now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others with fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life. Now our minds are one. The birds. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. The four winds. We are all thankful for the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds. Now our minds are one. The thunderers. Now we turn to the west, where our grandfathers, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voices, they bring with them the water that renews life. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to our grandfathers, the thunderers. Now our minds are one. The sun. We now send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the sun. Each day, without fail, he travels the sky from east to west, bringing the light of a new day. He is the source of all the fires of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the sun. Now our minds are one. Grandmother Moon. We put our minds together to give thanks to our oldest grandmother, the moon, who lights the nighttime sky. She is the leader of women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children here on earth. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon. Now our minds are one. The stars. We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them in the night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered together as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars. Now our minds are one. The enlightened teachers. We gather our minds to greet and thank the enlightened teachers who have come to help throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to these caring teachers. Now our minds are one. The Creator. Now we turn our thoughts to the Creator, or Great Spirit, and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on this Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to the Creator. Now our minds are one. Closing words. We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it was not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way. Now, our minds are one. So if you're lying down, you can gently roll over to your favorite side. If you're seated, maybe just take a little bit of a stretch.